Okay, this is your final reminder that I am going to redeem codes in 48 hours after this video releases. So, go to the link if you haven't already in the description or in the pinned comment and put your friend campaign code, and I will help you redeem the free structure decks from the campaign, at least as much as I physically could, because there is a limit if you're not aware. So yeah, with that said, we'll do the final free structure deck from the campaign, which is the Rush one. So let's see how we can improve the deck that the game gives you. So let's have a look at the default deck real quick. So the default deck looks like this, which is honestly not bad. There are a lot of bad normal monsters in it, but you can very easily replace them with better stuff that you can get for free. And you only get 2 Galactica Oblivions, which is unfortunate, but if you have a ticket that you get from one of the campaigns, you can get a free copy of this card just by using the ticket. It's also in like collector's the Chronicle effect with the card that you get from it. So like you can choose like one of the main protagonist boss monster, and then you can choose the Oblivion to get a third copy. But the deck list that I will be covering today will not be using a third copy, just so if you don't have it, then it's the deck can still be playable. So the other thing that this deck is lacking is the fusion monsters, so you only get 3 fusion monsters in this entire deck, which is not quite enough, but still playable. And because this video will be covering a cheap version of this deck that you can make as a new player without opening any boxes to, you know, just get cards randomly, we will only be using free to obtain cards and bundles to upgrade this deck. So with that said, let's have a look at the upgraded version. So this is the version that you can pretty easily make just by making a few modifications. This card is obtainable from the card trader, and even if you cannot immediately get free copies of it because maybe you just first started the game and then you have to wait for the trader to reset, that's fine. This card is not too important for the strategy. It just gives your monsters piercing so that you can attack over your opponent's defense position monsters if they only set monsters. If you have more copies of this card, you should play more copies, which we will have an expensive version after we cover this cheaper version, and you'll be able to see how you can upgrade this deck once you have even more gems to get boxes. Yeah, keeping 1 copy of this card, and the 1 secret order that we get. In the expensive version, you will not be playing this card and playing 3 copies of secret order. And unfortunately, we still have to play a lot of the vanillas that the deck gives you because you just need more light galaxies, and these you can get for free just from the same structure deck. And other things that you can add is 1 copy of Pot of Greed. This card can be obtained from the bundle, so if you are planning to play quite a bit of Rush in Duel Links, you should always try to get 1 copy of this card because you can play it in pretty much anything. And drawing 2 cards is just never bad. And you can also get the bundle of Trap Hole, as well as the other traps that you could play. So if you go to the bundles, other traps you can get is Compulse or the Gate Attack, but those are limited to 1. So if you want to play Pot of Greed, you can't play those. And for the legend traps that aren't limited to 1, this is probably the best one. You can also play Widespread Ruin if you want to. Kind of depends on the meta, depends on your personal preference as well. And also, small correction, Pot of Greed you get for free. You just get this card for free. The one that you need to pay for with gems is Pot of Avarice, which we are not playing. This card is just worse than Pot of Greed. And then the extra deck is just the same 3 fusion monsters, but if you go into the box that they are from, and spend, if you're a new player, you can spend your starting gems on the mini box if you're planning to play Rush seriously, and then you can very easily get multiple copies of these fusion monsters, but they're just rare in rarity, and you can get 3 copies of each, and then just play them, and it will improve your deck a significant amount. And also, most importantly, you should be using this skill. A Galactica Fusion Draw has an effect that allows you to send to up to 2 level 7 light galaxy monsters or fusion spells from your hand to the graveyard and then draw the same amount of cards. And if you send the Galactica Oblivion, you can also add Extraplorer or Secret Order or Fusion from outside your deck. So that is why even with only 1 copy of Extraplorer, this card is really good, but even with only 1 copy, you can get extra copies just by using your skill to add it from outside your deck. Alright, so let's cover the upgraded version of that deck. You can very easily get 3 copies of Extraplorer just by getting this mini box. This is the main mini box you want to go to complete this deck, and because of how the rush system works for the boxes, it's very easy to just get enough cards to complete the upgraded version of this deck, just because everything is in the same mini box. And you can get 3 copies of this. You can also get a copy of the Strange Traveler, which helps you mill cards and reduce your opponent's attack. You can play 3 copies of Galactiara Eve. This card is pretty important to play as many as you could, just because it's a fusion material for one of your fusions. Free Galactica Oblivion is really good, and also you should just play as many copies as you physically can, just because the skill works with it so well. And then Secret Order, this is just the alt art. These 2 are the same card. You should play as many copies of this, just because it revives your Galactica Oblivion and gives it an attack boost, and you just punch your opponent with it, or use it as fusion material to make your big fusion. And then for the traps, you should always play like the better traps if you have access to them. Shiny's Shady is by far the best trap in this entire game that is not a legend trap. And I think this card is even just good in like the physical rush duel in Japan. So this card is just worth getting if you're planning to invest more into rush in Duel Links. And for the extra deck, it's just more copies of the same fusion monsters. Just 2 copies of the big fusion and then multiple of the other smaller fusions. So pretty simple to upgrade, and even if as you just playing this game as a new player, it's just pretty easy to get enough gems to buy the mini box multiple times to get enough cards to make the better version of this deck. And this deck is like one of the best decks in the format, I still think. If you're into Rush, this is a pretty good way to go. So, unlike the 2 other videos that I made for the other 2 friend code decks, we will not be playing this against the bot because Rush is pretty simplistic, and I don't think I can show a whole lot if I'm not playing against a real guy. So, in Rush, you should just try to clear your hand as much as possible, and Galactica Oblivion is pretty good in your hand just because your skill works with it so well, but if you're going first and you have it in your hand, you should always set it face down. This guy has a lot of defense. It has the same defense as like Blue Eyes White Dragon, so it's pretty difficult for a lot of things to beat over, and it forces your opponent to always commit to their combo to get the attack boost to beat over it. So they're gonna beat over it and then attack directly for 15. Not too big of a deal. We can Pot of Greed, and then we'll use the Unistorm to pop your opponent's back row. And then Star Troleo is pretty good to send more cards to the graveyard. So if you're not familiar with what this deck is trying to do, you want as many light galaxy monsters in your graveyard as you physically can, because they fuel the big fusion monster. This guy can boost its attack according to the amount of galaxy monsters you have in the graveyard. So just having more guys in the graveyard is just really good. So we're going to try to load up the graveyard with as many monsters as we can. So one way to load up with monsters is to fusion summon, and then use the fusion monsters to get even more monsters, and then you can spiral from there. We're gonna add the fusion to the top deck and then draw a card. And then it also allows us to reborn a normal monster. We will be using it to revive the Oblivion. And then we can fuse with a big guy now. So this big guy will be able to return 5 cards back to the deck and then mill 3 and then boost its attack. So it can get really big in the late game. So this is only turn 3, right? So if you go into turn 4 or turn 5, this guy can potentially just one-hit KO your opponent. Which we couldn't right now because we don't have enough guys in the graveyard. But we can still attack over the Explorer. We don't want this card to stay on the field because this is a really good monster. Even if we attack this guy and deal more damage, it's not worth it because we can't win anyway. We're gonna destroy the Explorer and then pass back to our opponent. And we're just gonna hope that we don't lose this turn because this deck is able to deal a lot of damage if they draw well enough. And also the cheaper version of this deck doesn't have those good traps that we can use to protect ourselves, like the Shiny Shady. So all we have is just Universal Storm that won't do anything to protect ourselves, so all we do now is hope that we don't lose. So he's gonna make his big guy, but also he doesn't have enough guys in the graveyard, same as us. So he's only going to go up into like 5k, which is enough to beat over my guy, but not enough to win. So he's going to use the Meteor Charge to deal piercing. We don't have to play this card in either version of the deck just because the UR card that we get from the trader gives us piercing anyway, and it's also a monster which fuels the big guy. So he's gonna attack for a lot of damage and notably not enough to win the game. So now he's in a really bad position because he has 2 low attack monsters on the field. So even though we can't attack over this guy because we already used our own big guy, we can just make 2 slightly smaller big guys and then beat over the 2 small guys that he has and then just deal enough damage to win the game that way. So we're gonna use Explorer to grab back the fusion and then use the fusion to make the final fusion monster we have in our deck, which has 3k attack. And then we're going to use Secret Order to bring back an Oblivion, which has 32. So we're going to attack the 2 smaller guys, and that will be enough to deal lethal damage. So that's basically how the deck functions, pretty simplistic. And yeah, that's it. Not too much to talk about this deck compared to the other 2. So yeah, also final reminder, redeem the code in the description, in the link, and also the pinned comment. And I'll do it in like 48 hours, so be quick. Okay, thanks for watching, bye bye!